Welcome to the recording of the live sessions with S&C and Atkins. And these sessions happen every week, but these recordings are things for you to have a look back on the sessions, maybe have a little thought about what supports you, and enjoy the session itself. My name's Anna Kalanick-Body, and I am the Psychology and Wellbeing Lead for Yogic Frog. I'll see you soon. Enjoy the session. Hi everybody, nice to see you. If you're watching the recording or live, lovely to meet you. So today we're going to do something a little different from where we've been before. And at the end, if you'd like to stay for a couple of minutes, I'll do a big stretch with you. But we're going to have a little talk today. And today is 8 things that physically fit people don't do. And I love kind of turning it around because, there's physically fit people do all these amazing things. But actually having 8 things that physically fit people don't do helps us think about it in a different way. Sometimes our minds like the negative. So we're going to start with the first one, which I think is brilliant for January. They don't wait for the ideal time. The amount of people that I see in January that start a fitness regime is absolutely hilarious. And it's, but the thing I always say is there's never an ideal time, never an ideal time. There's always now, and there's only now, but there's never an ideal time. So I would actually say that January is one of the worst months of the year to start. If I look out my window today, it's really misty, it's freezing cold, it's icy. It's not a motivator to get me out the door. I would rather start something big in September so I can work towards it in the new year. But it's always the now. So people don't normally wait for an ideal time because the ideal time never comes along. And which moves really well into the second thing that physically fit people don't do. And that is they don't listen to that mind chatter. And this is quite an interesting one. And I've been working with international triathletes, so the likes of Tom Bishop and those guys, and talking to the team that work around them, the psychological team around them. And one of the things that we talked about here about mind chatter is that mind chatter can be just as destructive as an injury, actually sometimes even more, because that mind chatter can be, oh, it's too early, I'm too tired, it's too late, it's too icy, I'm not physically fit enough, I'm too fat, I'm too thin, I'm not bendy enough. All of those things come into that physical fitness. And it's a really strange thing because even if you turn up to the event you want to do with that in mind, you can really stop yourself from getting fitter. So, and I've got a friend who's doing, if you know about something called the Spine Race, this week it's going on. It started on Sunday. It should finish by Sunday this week, and it's 268 miles across the Pennine Way to Scotland from Derbyshire, and it's usually done at this time of year because it's the worst conditions. So it's icy, it's cold, it's boggy, it's everything. So it's actually just mind and body. And if you talk to any of the athletes, and there was a great, if you want to look on the Spine Race website, there's a great discussion with the leader and the person who came in first yesterday, who said, the worst part about it is, he says, the first sort of 30, 40 miles is the body. The remainder of the race is the mind. So it's that mind chatter. So let's move on. The third one, don't resent others' success. And I mean that from a really negative point of view. Says, and you might not do this one, but this one's quite an interesting one, is that a lot of people go, well, they were born skinny. It's one that I've used before, so I'm sort of using it here. You were born skinny. Well, I was never born skinny, but I can still do things. It doesn't stop me going out and getting to my level of fitness that I need. So that's the resentment. The other one is other people's success in like, well, if only I had the time. And so, yeah, you might not have the time, you might not be able to do train for a spine race, to do 268 kilometers, but you can do something to be physically fit and help it motivate you. Give it some, let it use it to motivate you. People who are physically fit use these other people to motivate themselves to get out there and celebrate it. Actually, do you know what? Just being part of the group of triathletes who came through the Olympics last year was in itself a really great motivator and a celebration. And that really kind of pushed me along to do more myself. So number 4, don't rush into doing it all at once. And this will lead on to number 5. But what you often see is that people kind of decide they're going to run a 10K, and they start off with running lots in the week, and then they get pushed on, well, I can do it, I can push it. And then by week 3, week 4, maybe a little bit later, they're really heavily injured and can't carry on, or they go through the pain and actually cause themselves long-term injuries. So don't rush into it. Take a plan, think about it. Take it steady, work your body into it. You need to go there. Number 5, don't try to do it alone. So this kind of works with the don't rush into it, because having somebody who can guide you into this practice, and this works for physical fitness as well as a lot of other things. If you've got other people to help you along, whether that's somebody to run along with you, but just make sure you don't race into it, or somebody who can sort of give you a plan that builds up to a height, at least then your body's not taking a shock. I mean, you need to be able to do that. And do you know how good a motivator it is to have somebody along who will look at you and suggest things? Maybe you're the type of person that, like me, who actually, to have somebody suggest something like a run or a ride or a walk actually kind of gets you out. So, thinking about using others in a way that really helps you with your fitness. And that's what most people who are physically fit have. They have something that drives them. We have people who are quite single-minded. So often you find major athletes are very single-minded in how they drive. But when you actually look into their support structure, you'll see that they've got physios and they've got doctors and they've got coaches who will keep them on the straight and narrow for going into the right place. So number 6, don't expect immediate results. And this is particularly true for things like running, even things like yoga and those type of things. You may be able to run today, but then you've depleted your body, you've got fatigue, those types of things. So being able to sustain it is quite important. So don't expect immediate results. Just because you could do a touch your toes when you were 12 doesn't mean that you'll touch your toes the first time you walk into a yoga class. Or because you could run a mile, you ran the cross-country team in your high school years, doesn't mean that now you can run across country. It will take you a while to get back there. You've taken years to get this unfit. It will take you a while to get fit again. And sometimes getting unfit, so this is quite an interesting concept. I talked to the triathletes. They have a getting unfit set of weeks in a year. So usually at the end of the season, they will have what will be in their program called getting unfit. So having a month or 6 weeks off where they're not supposed to train hard. They can go for a gentle swim or a little run or a little cycle, but then they've got to get unfit. They can't go at race pace. They've got to keep the heart rates down. So it's quite interesting that actually that little bit of rest is actually part of those results. Number 7. Number 7 is don't dwell on the past. So this comes back to that your previous successes or previous failures. So thinking about how those failures and how those successes actually work for you. Don't dwell on what it was. Just because you weren't successful at running doesn't mean that you're not going to be successful at joining a football team or doing basketball or something like that. So it's that finding the right mindset that comes into it. And then number 8 is don't wait to celebrate. So people who are getting physically fit don't wait to celebrate. They take their steps. They celebrate the successes as they go along. So if you manage to get a personal best, whether it's the first time you've ever run 5K, doesn't matter what time you run it in, you've done it. Or the first time you run a kilometer, or you've walked a kilometer in a long time. It's that celebrating the small successes as you go along, as well as the big ones. So, so athletes don't just celebrate that Olympic win. They will have celebrated all the positions along to keep a positive mindset. So we talked about all those 8 things that make physically fit people. They're things that they don't do. And if you can see a thread that comes through all of those 8 things, and I'll just walk you through them once more. They don't wait for the ideal time. Athletes don't let the mind chatter stop them moving forward. They don't resent others' success. They don't rush to do everything at once. They don't try to do everything alone. They don't expect immediate results. They don't dwell on past success or past failure. And they don't wait to celebrate their own success. And if you look at all of those, there's a really keen theme that runs through all of these things. And that is our mind's ability to accept that we are where we are in the moment. Our mind's ability to actually accept that we are in this place. We for reasons that we may or may not know, we've decided to be in this place right now. So to move on and change what we're doing, it's changing a habit. It is literally just changing a habit. So knowing that you want to form a new habit, do you know it takes at least 8 weeks to break a habit, and then at least another 12 weeks to actually bed it into your mind, your psyche, and your daily routine. So it becomes a new habit. So just imagine now breaking habit. So you're going to have to almost go against your mind chatter for 8 weeks. So you have to do it at least every two days. You have to do something, if not every day, to break a habit for 8 weeks. And then for it to actually seal itself in, that's another 12 weeks. So if we think about that, that's 5 months to actually form a new habit that is so ingrained into your psyche that you do it. You'll get yourself out of bed on a cold, frosty morning to do something. So this is all about physical fitness, and physical fitness doesn't have to be cardio. I mean, I've talked a lot about cardio today because that's a lot of the psychological work that's been done with athletes and that type of thing. But also there's the people who just go and turn up to a yoga class or just get moving so that they keep their flexibility at whatever age. So physically fit can be just the ability to actually move your body in a way that you can without causing yourself pain, strain, or injury. So you can touch the floor, you can put on your socks without having to kind of wrestle your body to it. Those types of things can be around about physical fitness. It doesn't mean that you are sitting in that elite category. So sitting with this, we're talking about a mental ability as well as a physical, and we can't do one without the other. So mental mind chatter, that ability to stop us, is what you have to kind of break to break a habit. And then the mental mind chatter then becomes your friend. It pushes you on to keep doing it. The mental mind chatter goes, well, you haven't been out today, it's time to get out. Or the mental mind chatter is, hang on, I'm not feeling great. You've sat on me all day long. It's time to move. I need to move to make my head feel better doing my work. So there we have some brilliant 8 things to think about. So let's kind of have a look at the options for it. And this is the option to go and get support from other people, finding places to go. There are a lot of resources out there. And actually, we're so bound with resources today that actually we have to start becoming picky about what we want. So knowing who you are as a person. So I know, for instance, that I am driven by people and being around people. So actually, to get physically fit, some of you may know this, I'm a triathlete, as well as a yoga teacher, as well as being a well-being coach. I needed a coach, and it was the only way that I knew I could be successful. I couldn't do anything else. Now, my husband's now starting to go into triathlons, but he doesn't want that continuous road. He doesn't want somebody to run with him. He doesn't want someone to cycle with him. He doesn't want to turn up to a swimming pool where there's a swim going on. He wants a program, and then that's it. So do you see the level of intervention you can put in for support? So when you know your own mind and you know what drives you and what doesn't, you can use that as a way to be physically fit. So if you're trying for January, and hopefully some of you will put in the chat if you're doing something this January to get physically fit or to change a habit, and if we share that, we can have a talk about it. Then what we're doing here is actually deciding how it's best to us to do. And one of the things that I was having to talk to one of my mentorees about yesterday was she decided that she wanted to run a 10K, which is absolutely fantastic, brilliant thought. But she wants to run a 10K in March, which is great, but she's never run. She hasn't run. She can't, at the moment, hasn't got enough breath to run a 1 kilometer. And we had this discussion about, well, maybe if we want to run 10K, maybe we set ourselves a 5 kilometer run by March. And then have a 10 kilometer a few months later when we can be physically fit enough to get there, but also mentally fit enough to get there. She's suffered from injuries and issues like that. She's fine, she's got a lot of issues around, and the reason why I'm coaching her is because she needs a lot of stretching due to the amount of injuries she's had. So it's got to find, so unfortunately I've got a ruptured Achilles, so I haven't done much fitness in the last 3 months. My recovery regime starts February. Brilliant. And that's fantastic. Well, what can you do? Are you able to do things, Tony, in the interim, to help you out? So is there some stretching regimes you've got? That's as much about your fitness as it is about the actual running or things you need to do. So one of the things that I was discussing with my client yesterday was that when she did, she basically fell off a bike and broke a femur 4 years ago. And then she didn't do all of her exercises every month. And had now got real problems with the muscular structure around that thigh and into the bone and things. So part of her fitness must be now strengthening up that leg to get back into it. So that's really, thank you for sharing, by the way. So there's loads of things we can do, but we've got to connect that mental and physical stuff together. Finding the expert, knowing what to do, knowing how to do it, and then what steps to take when you do step in. And as a yoga teacher, I quite often get people on that recovery route who are deciding they're coming back into full fitness again, but need the ability to get strength back before they can go back into what I would call impact style work. Yoga is traditionally not an impact style of work, hence why it works really well with my triathlon training. So yeah, so that's really where I've come today. If anybody else has who's live has anything else to share, I'll share it, but without any detailed names. But it really is about stepping into those 8 things, and I'll go over them again if anybody wants to put anything in the chat while I'm talking. First one is, for people who are physically fit don't do is they don't wait for the ideal time, because the ideal time never comes. It's always, there's only the now. And the excuses we put in place are all about the second one, which is they don't listen to that mind chatter that stops us doing something in the now. And the third one is you don't resent others' success, because others' success should help you be a driver. It can help you be in the right place. It can help you motivate. Celebrating it can actually give you, if you want to go into the mental side of the psychological side of it, can actually give you positive endorphins, which help you motivate. So actually celebrating other people's success can become your success as well. They don't rush to do it all at once. So imagine, just going in and I've seen it lots of times before where they run 5 times a week where you've never run. You've got to be able to walk, run, and go into it calmly to stay injury free. Number 5 is don't try and do it alone. And I mean that, just deciding what level of intervention, whether that's a program that you can follow, maybe someone you can talk to, just something, or if you're like me, you need somebody to go out with. The only way I got to cycling the 4 120 milers I did last year was to have friends and do it with them, because that's what motivates me. So you decide what that is. Don't expect immediate results or an instant results, because they're not happening. You've taken years to get to this place that you're in. It's going to, months. It's going to take you months or years to get back to the place you want to be in. Don't dwell on the past, whether that's positive or negative. If we've had a negative experience, we've got to be able to move beyond it. If we had a past that we were brilliant at something, we're probably going to be good at it again. It just might take a while, so we don't dwell on being in that space. And the last one, number 8, don't wait to celebrate. The positive, as I've just said to you about celebrating others' success, even more endorphins, even more motivation, all the motivation coming from celebrating small successes. If you do your first 1 kilometer that you've strolled down the road, then celebrate it. Possibly not with biscuits though, not necessarily good. And then finally, it's the talk about noticing what you do with your life. And I'm about to look into a book which someone suggested, which some of you might be interested in actually. It's called The White Poison. It's on Amazon, and it's all about sugar and white wheats and things, white breads and things, and how our body becomes addicted to it and how it affects our moods, our motivation, those type of things. So if you want a little moment at the end there where I was sharing with you, have a little think about that on diet. It's something that I'm looking into just because I'm genuinely interested. But if you're in that same space, you might want to share that as well. So that's my big chat for the day. For all of those who are online who have sat with me today, if you want to share anything in there. I'm now going to turn the camera off for those who watch this at a later time, but I will do a nice big stretch for those if they want a 5-minute stretch to end this.